Hello and welcome to the channel. On today's tutorial, I'll be sharing with you a video on how to draft a bustier top with an asymmetric neckline. So if it's your first time viewing my channel, please hit on the subscribe button and don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. So let's dive right into today's video. So here is the pattern paper that I'm working with, and on it I have marked my vertical measurement, which is my shoulder to bust, shoulder to underbust, shoulder to waistline, and I added 1 inch for basque because I don't want much. So I'm just going to mark my shoulder divided by 2, and I'll mark come down by 1 inch at this point. And the next thing I'll do is to connect it down to the upper part of the pattern, which is my shoulder line, and I have marked my shoulder slope. So I'm going to get my chest line, which is my bust circumference divided by 6 plus 1.5 inches, and I'll mark what I have on my shoulder at this point, and I will go ahead to take a ruler to draw a line out indicating my chest line. So after that, I'm just going to connect a straight line, and I'll place my tape and I will divide what I have here into 2. Dividing it into 2, I have 3.5, and I'm going to mark come out by ½ inch. Now the next step is to mark my bust circumference divided by 4, and I'm going to mark. This will serve as a guide at this point. I'll connect from my shoulder down to the ½ inch I marked at the middle, and I'm going to take it down to my chest line. So I'm going to go ahead to indicate my chest line, and I will mark out my shoulder line or armhole curve and also the shoulder slope. So just like I said, I'll outline the shoulder slope. Next, I'm going to mark my nipple to nipple measurements. That is my nipple to nipple divided by 2. I have 7. Divided by 2, I have 3.5. I'll mark it on the underbust, at the waistline, and at the basque length, which I marked 1 inch. So the next thing I'll do is to go ahead to take that same 3.5 inches upwards again. So now I'll be taking 1 inch dart at both sides at the lower part, and I'll also mark that at my underbust. So I'll go ahead to take a ruler to connect it at both sides this way. So after I'm done, I'm just going to outline the marks. Now the next step is to draw the curve bustier. So I'm just going to place my French curve connect, and I'm going to place it on the other side also, and I'm going to connect. So this is what I have after I'm done connecting, and I'm just going to go ahead to outline it. Next step, I'm going to place my tape and I'm going to mark 2 inches. So these 2 inches will be serving as a guide for me where the upper part of this dress will be starting. So the next step is to mark 1 inch at the upper part for my dart intake. So I'm going to connect from the upper part down to the bust line, and on the other side also I'll place and connect. So after I'm done connecting, I'm just going to use my marker to outline it. So from that 2 inches I went up from, I'm going to come down by ½ inch. So I'm just going to go ahead and connect it upwards this way. So next, I'm going to place my tape and mark 1 inch away from the center line. So what I have remaining here is about 2 inches, and I'm going to divide it into 2, and I will go up by ½ inch or 1 inch, just totally depends. And from the center, I'm going to connect it to that ½ inch, and from the other side, I'm going to connect it, drawing like a semi-circle at this point. After I'm done drawing, I'm just going to go ahead and use my marker to outline it at this part. So from this point, I'm just going to blend in so that my lines are going to match. So the next step I'll take is to blend in. So after I'm done blending in, I'm going to place my tape, and I'm just going to mark about 1.5 inches away from this part, and I will still go up by 1 inch, and I will make a mark. So now I'm going to go ahead, connect from this part down to that 1 inch I came up at the other side. So the reason why I blended it this way is that I want to draw out this part. So opening it up, this is what my pattern will look like. The next step is to place my tape, and I'm going to mark my bust circumference divided by 4, measure the dart intake I have on top and replace the dart, and mark it down to the chest line. At the under bust, I'll mark the under bust circumference, mark the 2 inches dart intake and mark the allowance. At the waistline, mark the waist circumference divided by 4, measure this dart intake, and I notice that one side is not too straight, and I'm going to correct that right now, and then replace the dart intake I have, and I'm just going to go ahead to connect my pattern from the bust line down to the under bust and down to the waist, and take it down to my basque. Just 1 inch basque that I did that at that part, and I'm going to fold this dart intake I have at the center, and I'm just going to go ahead to place it together, and I will draw out my waistline this way. So after that, I'm just going to go ahead and connect it back this way, blend it back and blend this back also. So right now the next step is just to cut out this pattern. Before I cut out, I'm just going to go above by ½ inch, and I'm just going to reconnect because I feel the armhole at that part is too open. Just connect it back to your chest line, and that is it for this pattern. So at this point, if you find this tutorial very interesting and educative, please don't forget to hit on the subscribe button, and please leave your comment at the comment section. So here on the pattern for the back, I've marked my zipper, and for this measurement we are going to start from the chest line. So my chest line is 7 inches. I'm going to place my tape at 7 inches, but after drafting, I'm going to take my front pattern, and I'll place it on my front or at my back pattern to check what I have is okay. So I'll just go ahead to mark my shoulder to bust line, placing my tape at that -7, and shoulder to under bust and shoulder to waistline, which is 17 inches. So I'll just go ahead and I will repeat the same process. So after I'm done marking, I'll place my ruler and I'm going to draw a straight line. After I'm done drawing the line, the next thing is to start my measurements. Next, I want to mark my dart intake. So for my dart, I'll place my tape at that -7, and I'm going to mark my shoulder to bust line plus 1 inch. And after marking at that point, whatever measurement I'm going to mark is going to come from my zip line, and I'll go ahead to mark my nipple to nipple divided by 2, which is 3.5, and I'll rule a straight line. So I'm going to be marking ½ inch dart intake at those points, and I will connect it right back to the upper part of my pattern. So next step, I'm just going to go ahead to outline all my patterns so that I don't get confused while I'm drafting. And I will also outline this mark at this point. Now I'm going to go ahead to mark my bust circumference divided by 4, mark 1 inch dart intake, and at this point all my measurement is starting from the zip line, and I'll mark my under bust circumference, go ahead to measure the dart intake and allowance, mark my waist circumference divided by 4, go ahead to mark the dart intake and the allowance, and I'm just going to connect from the under bust down to the waistline, and I'm going to take it up this way, and I'll just go ahead to outline all the marks. So now for my dart, I'm just going to blend it out. And now to get rid of bulginess, I'm going to mark ½ inch and I will extend it upwards this way. So now I'll extend this line to the end, and I'm going to go ahead to cut out my pattern. But before I do that, I'm going to take my front pattern, I'm going to place it on it, and I'm going to take note where the chest line falls on this, and I'm going to mark it. Now I'm going to place a ruler and I'm going to draw out a straight line at that point. So now this is where my back pattern is going to start. So you can go ahead and cut out your dart, or you can just blend it in. So I prefer blending it in, and I'm just going to go ahead and cut out this pattern. So at this point, if you haven't yet subscribed, please hit on the subscribe button. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, and also leave your comment at the comment section. So after I'm done cutting out, this is what I have. Please join me in my next video. Thanks.